an opinion on it? Obviously,
no, you can have an opinion on it. But
like,
you're asking me about, do you believe that the U.S. should assert judicial authority over El Salvador?
How do you mean?
Do you think that we should force other countries to adhere to our frame of law?
It depends on the context.
What? Okay. Should a...
I do believe that we should not be deporting individuals to countries where they're going to face ridiculous human rights abuses.
Going to prison is a human rights abuse?
Yes. If you have never
going
been
to prison is a human rights abuse.
When you have not been actually found guilty of a crime, when you've not actually committed any crime, when you've not been given a trial,
you're asserting
when
things
your
true that we've
process
not
rights are
determined.
violated, then that would be
know
wrong.
That okay.
You don't know
we
that
got to pause real quick because you keep saying due process, but
and
you don't know
this
what it
is
means.
the other thing. In a brief unsigned
you don't know what
decision
due process
issued
means.
Thursday,
You keep saying it because
the court sided
this
with
is
the
what
district
happens
court
when
judge
liberals
who had ordered Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. The order properly requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador, the Supreme Court said in its ruling. It was a 9-0 ruling.
And?
Even Trump's appointees agreed that his rights had been violated.
That's okay. We are in a state of political adjudication with back and forth. The dude's got 2 more pending removals. Now he's going to Ghana. Or where's he going, to Eritrea?
One of those.
I mean, like, the amount of things on Kilmar Abrego Garcia are ludicrous, right? The amount of...
I agree, but not for the same reasons.
Yeah, liberals are defending a guy who's not a citizen, and they're lying about it. They repeatedly... And don't get me wrong, conservatives are fucking retarded,
what liberals
too.
Are defending is
Republicans
being
come out and go,
not have their
non-citizens don't get due process, and that was never true. They're just dumb. Okay? Due process means under law, you, in your circumstances, what are you due in the courts that they must adhere to? Immigration courts are part of the executive branch, and the executive branch does not have trials for these people. A judge just said, goodbye. Judicial courts can have trials or bench hearings. Liberals don't understand any of these things. And more importantly, I would say the proselytizers at the highest level just say whatever they have to justify their ideological whims. The point is, America should be America and should not be enforcing its will on other countries. And if you are not from this country, the State Department has sole discretion to remove you from this country. End of story. Even permanent residents under the law can have their permanent residency revoked in finger snap by the Secretary of the State. So this whole argument is fake. And it started with a conversation around him having his due process rights violated.
You're defending
because
this,
liberals
even though
think
the
due
Trump
process means a jury trial.
I have a question for you, though. But so you don't think that someone entering the country...
Really quick, I will answer your question.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the Trump administration had admitted that they had made an administrative error in sending him to El Salvador to CCOT. And you are even going, and then they retracted that.
Pause real quick.
And you're going further
they retracted that, right?
to defend all of this.
They retracted that?
Okay.
Hold on. They retracted the administrative error statement?
Yeah, they walked it back because they're trying to cover their ass.
What exactly did they say in the retraction?
Trump administration admits Maryland man sent to El Salvador prison by mistake. The Trump admin is getting blowback for confirmed and potential errors in its rush to deport hundreds of men to El Salvador last month. On Monday night, immigration officials admitted to deporting a Maryland man to El Salvador due to a quote-unquote administrative error. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who lived in the with his U.S. citizen wife and child, was identified as being on one of the 3 deportation flights to El Salvador last month that are the subject of several lawsuits. Immigration advocates claimed those flown to El Salvador did not receive due process. The admin used the 3 flights to quickly deport over 300 men accused of being members of MS-13.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, but just because I want to just get to the point, it's what did they say in their retraction?
Look,
let's find the retraction.
I mean,
so I'll tell you. It was an administrative official, not in the highest level of the cabinet, who said there was an administrative error here. That was a singular statement by a low-level official. Probably about a week after this, the highest level of Trump's cabinet said they were incorrect. We have asserted executive authority on national security issues for expedited removal. That is our purview. Now, by all means, this is to be adjudicated. And right now, the Kilmar Abrego Garcia thing is the most convoluted bullshit of a story imaginable because he's got like 5 orders of deportation now, including to like literally, is it Eritrea? Or was it Ghana? What ridiculous country? I don't know. It's just like...
It was a JV one. It was a JV country.
It's just a ridiculous thing. The point is, we are not dealing with functions of the Constitution and law, which was the initial argument you asked about constitutional deportations. We are dealing with hyper-partisan justifications.
Yes.
And the liberals making an argument about due process in foreign countries and the right making an argument about national security threats. One thing remains. in the truest sense of what this law was codified to be and written down as. Due process in immigration courts does not involve a judicial hearing, judicial warrant, nor jury or bench trial.
Okay, so
immigration courts are a singular executive official identified as an immigration judge, but they're not judicial, stamping something and saying expedited removal. End of story. That is due process.
So in his court filing on Monday, the Trump admin said ICE was aware of his protection from removal to El Salvador, but still deported Abrego Garcia because of an administrative error. An ICE official called his deportation to El Salvador an oversight in a statement submitted to the court on Monday. Robert Cerna, ICE's acting field office director of enforcement and removal operations, wrote that it was carried out in good faith based on the existence of a final order of removal and Abrego Garcia's purported membership of MS-13. The admin argued against his return to the U.S., citing alleged gang ties and claiming that he is a danger to the community. They also argued that the courts lack jurisdiction in the matter because Abrego Garcia is no longer in U.S. custody. The admin wrote that Abrego Garcia's attorneys, quote, do not argue that the United States can exercise its will over foreign sovereign. The most they ask for is a court order that the United States can treat or control a close ally.
Now please read the retraction. Can you read the retraction?
I should retract my own claim because they actually did not issue a retraction. But what they did, as far as I could tell, no, it doesn't seem like. I thought they had. It seems like what they did is just double down on defending their decisions, even though they had admitted it was an error.
Do you think the State Department reserves the right to deport any illegal purely for being here illegally?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, because it's like that's part of the problem with the Abrego thing is it's like.
But there are legal means to remove people from the country.
Right.
They don't need to violate people's due process rights to do so.
So if we're able to deport,
is a gang, if it's a terrorist, it should be easy to remove them from the country legally.
They did. You're right the first time. They issued a retraction. DHS.gov. This is just one of the examples of an individual that as an MS-13 gang member, multiple charges and encounters with the individuals here, trafficking in his background, was found with other MS-13 gang members, very dangerous person. And what the liberal left and fake news are doing to turn him into a media darling is sickening. The retraction here in this video from Stephen Miller was that he said, let me see if I can pull up the actual, Tricia McLaughlin reaffirmed the MS-13 terrorist gang member is where he belongs. I think this illegal alien.
Sounds like the opposite of a retraction. That's why I say I shouldn't have said that they retracted it. What they did is defend their decisions.
Very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador. If they want to return him, that's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job. Thank you. Stephen Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant. Because they're totally slanting because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for anything?
So the point is, initially, an ICE official said that it was administrative error. The Trump administration cabinet said after the FTO designation of MS-13, that disqualified him from the immigration stay to Guatemala that he had.
They had no evidence to be even
Doesn't
designating him as a terrorist. It doesn't matter if they don't have evidence before they label
They have
somebody a terrorist.
two courts ruled that he was MS-13.
So it doesn't matter to you that they had no evidence that he was actually part of MS-13.
Two courts.
What
It
evidence
doesn't matter
do
what
they
you're
have?
saying.
What
Two
evidence
courts
do they
ruled
have
he
that
was.
he was part of MS-13?
He was associated with known MS-13 gang members outside of MS-13 gang
So just
territory.
by knowing somebody within
in and around
MS-13
either.
means that you are part of MS-13 yourself?
Do you think if two courts rule that you are, that's enough or not enough?
I'm sorry, you didn't answer my question. So just knowing somebody in a gang, that means that you are also part of that gang.
He was in the gang.
You said that he is associated. I said, what's the evidence for that? And you said, well, he associated with people
courts
in.
found that he was wearing
But
their
I'm
gang
asking
colors, wearing their
you.
gang clothes. He was known by informants to be what's the term? His rank? Do you remember? Let me pull it up.
He was a lieutenant.
And it's been so no. He was it's a provisionary. It's a Spanish word. Let me figure out what the there's a word for the lowest level, and is this it right here? I think I got it. Was it? No. I am not a robot.
Checo.
Was it
C-H-E,
Checo?
Checo.
Yeah. He was a Checo in MS-13, meaning he was like a probationary entry-level member. Two courts found this. I don't understand. I got it. Okay, let's just roll with it.
So
The point is this: we have immigration courts for a reason? Let's see. Member of Princess George County. This is the arrest report, I think. Which one? This? Yeah, Checo. Chequeo. He was a Chequeo, known as Maniaco and MS-13 in their sailors clique. Let's see. Officers interviewed with Jose Guillermo Domingos. During the interview, officers observed tattoos and skulls covering the eyes, out of his mouth. Blah, 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 blah. See no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. He also had to have a devil in his left leg. This presents power with an MS-13 officers made contact with a past, proven, and reliable source of information who advised Dominguez, the officer,
was indicative of the Hispanic gang culture.
An active MS-13 gang member with the sailors clique, the rank of Chiqueo and the moniker of Maniaco.
Wait, that was his buddy.
And that wearing the Chicago Bulls hat represents that they are a member in good standing with MS-13. That's
officers that interviewed Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia during the interview as officers. He observed he was wearing a Bulls hat and a hoodie with rolls of money covering his eyes, ears, and mouth of the presidents on the separated denominations. Officers know such clothing to be indicative of the Hispanic gang culture. The meaning of the clothing is to represent ve oír y calar. See no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. Wearing the Bulls hat represents that they are a member in good standing with MS-13.
Hat.
Officers, I did say Chicago Bulls. Wearing the officers contacted a past, proven, and reliable source of information who advised Kilmar Abrego Garcia is an active member of MS-13 with the Westerns clique. The confidential source further advised that he is the rank of Chiqueo with the moniker of Chele. Officers interviewed Jason Josu, is that how you say it? Ramirez Herrera during the interview. They were unable to determine his gang affiliation. Officers know MS-13 gang members are only allowed to hang around other members or prospects for the gang. Officers will continue, blah, blah, blah. The point is,
so no testimony,
there exists evidence.
No criminal history.
What do you mean? There's two witness testimony included in this.
Corroborating
You're just
evidence
making things up at
that
this point.
he's
This is
wearing
fake. It's just
certain
fake.
clothes.